It's a cult of hate. It's fucked up. It's a cult of hate against me. And I'm not going to put up with that shit. Alright, so the meat of what I want to talk about on today's podcast is what went down yesterday. And there's two parts to that, obviously. The first half is me reacting to This Is How You Don't Play Metal Gear Solid 2. And the other half is me talking about the closet clean out and how it concluded and what's left to do and new things that came out of it, etc., etc. Okay?
So,
in regards to, first of all, thank you, Audio Object Baxter, for re-upping your membership. I appreciate that. So, in regards to react to This Is How You Don't Play Metal Gear Solid 2, there was a lot of drama around it for multiple reasons. First of all, because it was the first time I was ever going to majorly publicly address a This Is How You Don't Play about me. Ever. All over the years, 10 years, these things have been coming out, right? And although I've said things like, oh, anyone who watches them is a jerk, and you're stealing my content, and a lot of negative backlash, well, I should say a negative lashing out from me towards them and anyone who watches them, but also negative backlash on the internet against me for the way that I basically responded to them. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. I get that now. I didn't get that back then. I explained all this, of course, in my react, but this was the first time that I was ever going to formally address this kind of thing publicly and actually watching it back to see what was said in it, because I've seen excerpts and I've seen clips from them, but I never actually just sat there and watched one in its entirety. Okay? Well, the drama surrounding this was that at the last minute, literally just a couple days before I was going to do the marathon yesterday, the original creator of this video, EvilAJ, decided to private the videos. Now, of course, there's all kinds of speculation on the internet why he did it. Some people said he did it because he was threatened legally by someone or that he would get takedown notices. Bullshit. That he doesn't just magically do it 2 days before the marathon event, but leave up all the other content he's taken from me over the years. If he was being threatened, he would have just privated his whole channel to avoid that issue. So that's complete bullshit, okay? He literally never wanted to publicly say why he did it. Oh, I have many reasons, but then he doesn't say the reasons, okay? Here's the reason. EvilAJ is an attention-seeking fucking, loser. He always was. He was someone who was so butthurt at me because I blocked him from talking in my video comments many, many years ago, over a decade ago, that he took it upon himself to obsess over this so badly, he made the first This Is How You Don't Play. So here we are 10 years later. This guy has stalked me over the years, tried to hunt me down in ranked matches and all kinds of shit in Street Fighter games, then lagging up his connection to cheat and get cheesy wins, and then actually upload montages of him beating me in Street Fighter. He literally just the other day says on Twitter, Phil still won't admit that I'm better than him in Street Fighter. What? What are you talking about? Like, what? Oh my God. If you want to talk about someone who has a disconnect from fucking reality, dude, okay, you beat me in a handful of matches online with laggy connections in imperfect ports of Super Turbo over the years, cheating to win. You're not better than me at Street Fighter, you fucking idiot. Oh my God. The sad fact is he's actually serious. He actually, in his little mind, believes that he's serious, that he's better than me. I mean, anyway. That being said, to get attention once again, trying to get attention off of me, he tried to privatize his video of This Is How You Don't Play Metal Gear Solid 2. Of course, didn't do anything because a million people who don't like him all gave me ridiculous amounts of links to it all over the internet. And so the project went forward as planned. Keep in mind, I was completely protected by fair use law, excuse me, as well as him giving me permission to react to the video months prior, but he was such a fucking idiot, he had forgotten all about that. Okay? Anyway, it went well. All right? It definitely went well. We enjoyed watching it together, and if anything, I had a few insights from reacting to this video, okay? Insight number one. I can totally understand why maybe someone who didn't understand my shtick from back in the day thought that this was me totally being disrespectful to the Metal Gear Solid franchise. Because back then, the way I played games was literally rush through them as fast as you could, get that playthrough done, upload it to the internet, move on to the next game. I never took the time, all right, never, to learn proper game mechanics, to immerse myself in a game world, all right? If there was a game that usually had a ton of side content or interesting stuff, I would skip it, okay? I was the guy who was known that I would buy a game at launch, all right? Play through it as quickly as possible, upload the playthrough to the internet, get to the next game. So if you're watching me play Metal Gear Solid 2, and I'm literally ignoring what the game's telling me to do, I'm not learning the mechanics of sneaking. I'm not learning the difference between shooting in third person and first person. I'm so dumb for not paying attention and trying to rush through the game, right? I can understand how this is so frustrating. You can even find it as kind of disrespectful to the game, especially when I'm saying things like, oh, this game is shitty, the controls are bad, and, you know, really, the gameplay isn't anything special, and stuff like that. But again, that was my shtick back in the day. My shtick was rush through the game, okay, beat it as quick as possible, and kind of brush everything off. Never admit fault, make fun of the game developers. Again, this was a running thing in all my videos back then, to make fun of the game developers. No game developer was safe. I would make fun of them all, okay? And people liked it. Seriously, people really enjoyed it. That was something that was a running thing. That, okay, you know, that's, if we go to Dark Side Phil's channel, we're going to find a guy who basically is kind of narcissistic, acts like his shit doesn't stink, even though it's obvious just by watching 5 minutes of his gameplay that he's making tons of mistakes, but he'll never admit it. He just wants to pretend like it's the game, and, you know, people had a good laugh at that. That's why I was popular back in the day. But it was only when I played Metal Gear Solid 2 that all of a sudden people didn't get the joke. Literally, any other playthrough I'd done before then was fine. But the moment I played Metal Gear, oh my God, it was like that was the end-all be-all. You ruined everything on the internet, okay? So, basically, this is how you don't play is a good highlight of that kind of style of gameplay that I did back then. But interestingly enough, as I'm going back and watching through my own playthrough of Metal Gear Solid 2, something very interesting and apparent happens, okay? I actually realized to myself that even for me, all right, at one point, that style of content wears itself thin and basically like overstays its welcome. And what I mean by that is there was a point we were like maybe 3/4 through This Is How You Don't Play, and I'm like, you know, I just realized something. If I were watching this playthrough of mine, I would stop watching it right now, because you understand that the person is never going to learn the game mechanics. The person is never going to give any effort to understand the story. This person is literally playing the game just to finish it. And I kind of tried to explain that, you know, in the playthrough, excuse me, in the react. I was like, back then, what would happen is, originally when I tried to play a game, I would just jump into it and try to mess around with it. Then I would actually try to give a little bit of effort to learn the game mechanics of the game. But then, if I faltered, failed, or had issue, I would get tilted, which means I would be like a bull in a china shop. Like my rage would hit me, and I'd be like, fuck this. I don't care about the game mechanics. I don't care about the story. I don't care about nothing. I just want this done. And I would try to turbo through a game in the stupidest way. Watch me play Metal Gear Solid 2. I'm trying to bully my way through all the enemies, flip through them and shit. I just don't give a shit at all, all right, about what I'm doing in this game. I just want it done with, all right? And admittedly, that's a terrible way to go through a game, and I did that all the time back then. So, yeah, I can understand why there was a backlash against me. I can understand why people would have been upset with that playthrough. Now, do I think that it should have gone to the point where everyone wants to destroy me and my history as a content creator and my business in general and my private life and my existence on this planet? No, that's going a little overboard. And that's literally what ended up happening over the course of 10 years afterward is when this movement against me started, it was, okay, Darkside Phil is very popular on YouTube, but does he really deserve it? His playthroughs aren't great. Are they funny? Yes, but some can argue it's funny for all the wrong reasons. He doesn't try, he doesn't research, there's no effort put into it, and even though he does beat the majority of games he plays, they're not entertaining if you actually like the games. If you want to see someone flub through a game and swear like a sailor, there you go. But outside of that, where's the entertainment factor? There's so many other people putting out playthroughs out there of higher quality, you should pay attention to them instead of him. And if people kept it at that, that might have been all right. But here's what happened. I reacted negatively to This Is How You Don't Play. I ended up raging against anyone who made them as well as watched them. Saying things such as, if you watch This Is How You Don't Play, you're stealing from me. Okay? Why did I say those things? Because back in the day, technically that was true. Back in the day, things were a lot different. There was no other way to monetize your content. I wasn't an interactive live streamer. I didn't depend on crowdfunding during streams to make a living. Instead, it was all dependent on, hey, what kind of ad revenue am I making on this today? And if someone's watching my content elsewhere because they ripped it off my channel without my permission and edited it into their own This Is How You Don't Play product, and if people are only watching my content over there and not on my own channel, I'm not making money on my own content anymore because someone stole it, okay? So 10 years ago, this was a very different situation. Today, oh my God, has the internet and everything changed? Now you can't even make a living on ad revenue if you wanted to on YouTube. You've got to be diversifying your content in other ways and monetizing things in other ways to do this for a living, okay? Today, it doesn't matter if someone makes a negative montage about me because people will still come to the streams and support them no matter what, and that's where my business comes from, you see? But back then, like, this was me seeing it as someone's literally taking food out of my mouth because this should have been my income watching the content on my channel, and instead you're watching it somewhere else, all right? Now, of course, you could argue for and against that argument, you know, transformative work-wise and the like, okay? But I reacted really poorly to that. And what ended up happening was, over the last decade, instead of it just being, okay, Phil's content is kind of hackish, it's funny to watch, but it's not, definitely not high caliber or highbrow stuff, perhaps you should realize that and diversify what you watch and watch other people who do better quality stuff. That's one thing. But instead it became, how can we actually insult or hurt Phil as much as we possibly can? Including taking it to the extent of DDoSing, swatting, destroying my YouTube channel with false copyright claims and takedowns, slanderously talking about conspiracy theories and things that literally don't fucking exist all over the internet about me and circle jerking each other to the point where they all believe it when none of it is true. All right? It's gotten to the point where now there's insanely ludicrous, over-the-top, exaggerated things said about me that literally thousands of people just think it's fact. Well, so many people have said it over the years, it must be true. It's not, but they just believe it because that's where it went. Instead of it just being, all right, let's make fun of Phil's gameplay, it was let's destroy his life so we can get laughs on the internet. All right? And it just really sucks, okay? It just really sucks because it's a situation where if I waste time, right, addressing shit like that, essentially what ends up happening is it's just a waste of time. You can't, when you get an obsessed group of people like that, this is not just people who don't like the gameplay from the original This Is How You Don't Plays, right? When you address that group of people, all you do is give them the attention they want, and then they just go even crazier, right? But from time to time, you at least got to say something about it, right? But, you know, it is what it is. You know, this is where we are 10 years later. But, man, it was interesting to go back and watch this original video and where its roots came from and say, wow, how did that 57-minute video turn into the shit that's out there today? That's just crazy to think about, isn't it? It's also crazy to think about 10 years later, EvilAJ is still obsessing over me, constantly tweeting about me, constantly hate watching my content, constantly can't shut the fuck up and move on with his life. I mean, Jesus effing Christ. You know, the other day I said something on my stream. I said, don't you think that in 10 years, of someone would be following this guy on Twitter and look at his Twitter and how messed up it is that this guy's so obsessed with me. And someone would have reached out to him, like a family member or a loved one, and said, hey, listen, this is really bad. Like, you need help. You need to move on from this obsession. We don't know what the hell's going on with you. But, dude, it's 10 fucking years. Aren't you going to do anything about it to change your life for the better and forget this shit? And actually, someone said something to me on the stream that made me feel bad. And they were like, you know, he probably doesn't have anybody like that. You know, he's probably by himself. And therefore, he's left to his own devices to do fucked up stuff like this endlessly. And no one's there to tell him, hey, here's something better to do with life. And I was like, damn, you know what? That I could kind of understand that. There was a time in my life when I didn't feel like I had anything going for me. I was depressed. I was fucked up in my head. And I would obsess over dumb shit. Really, like, I've been there. And now I'm in such a better position. And all you can do is hope that people like that eventually will find something better for themselves so they can stop hyper-focusing on this nonsensical bullshit on the internet, right? So that being said, you know, it is what it is. I reacted to it. It was a fun project. The videos are live right now on the channel. Please give them a look. And by the way, I should say this. I was threatened by multiple parties, not EvilAJ, but other multiple parties were contacting me. Oh, we're going to strike you down with false copyright strikes. So they literally said, we're going to break the law and issue false copyright strikes against you and your channel for doing this react. You know, so far, it hasn't happened, thank God. I would hope that, again, as I said yesterday, I would hope that YouTube is smarter than this. Because, you know, let's face it, I've been a full-time YouTuber now, doing streams and on-demand content here on YouTube since May of last year. You would have thought that in that time period, probably anyone who doesn't like me would have tried it already. So you got to hope that they're smart enough to not grant false copyright requests against me for bullshit like this. This is fully under fair use. And I went out of my way to get permission, which I had since April. So there's nothing there. There's no legal ground to stand on for any kind of a copyright claim. Okay? So all we can do is hope for the best, but as of now, things went well during the stream. I had no issues, and the videos are visible right here, and you can watch them on demand whenever you get a chance. Okay? Now, some people ask me, hey, are you actually going... By the way, Mirage, you're such an idiot. Didn't you threaten to do the same? No, I never threatened to do anything with copyright or anything. No, never, and I never would, as I stated outright. Stop fucking repeating negative bullshit that my haters and detractors say. I never threatened anyone with a DMCA takedown ever. You're so ignorant and stupid for saying something like that. And seriously, if you're going to just say dumb shit like that on my stream, shut the fuck up. Because that really irks me. Oh, well, did you say you were going to hit him with a takedown? No, I never fucking did. That's what dumb fucks say on the internet because they want to make me look bad. Stop parroting what morons say. It didn't happen. What I said was, if he hits me with a false copyright takedown, that's going to be the end of his channel. Because I have definitive evidence that he gave permission for me to react to the video in April. He acknowledged that this is a transformative work covered under fair use. In that tweet, he knows the law. So if he were to issue a DMCA takedown against my channel, what would happen? He's literally breaking the law and he knows it. You chose to broke the law. Live with the consequences. That is a violation of YouTube's terms of service. You cannot issue false copyright takedowns, and that would result in the closing of his YouTube channel. That's what I said. But somehow me saying that, Phil says he's going to hit him with copyright strikes. I never said that, you fucking idiot dunce motherfuckers. Stop making shit up to try to prove your own parts right. I don't take anyone down with copyright. Never. I don't do that shit. I told you. And I've admitted publicly, way back in the day, when this whole thing first started, the only time I ever attempted to take a video down was a straight rip and upload. Meaning, there was not a transformative work, there was no creative stuff put into it. It was someone stole a whole video off my channel without editing it and re-uploaded it to them. I attempted to take down those videos. Do you want to know what happened? They took it down, they disputed the copyright claim, and the video went right back up. Because that's how YouTube's system works. It's trash. YouTube requires you to go to court to take down a video permanently. In their mind, they've already abided by the legal process by taking it down the first time. They don't care about anything else. If someone counterclaims it, it goes right back up anyway. So, after knowing that, right, why on earth would I ever try to take someone else's video down unless I had a court order? Do you think I'm going to fucking get a lawyer with a cease and desist or a court order to take down these people's videos? No, I'm not going to waste my time. I have never copyright claimed someone's video who used it for any kind of a transformative work ever. I don't care what anyone says. It's a lie. It's never fucking happened. And I'm not going to put up with slander and bullshit. People saying, oh, you threatened him with this. I didn't say shit. Just because you're a dunce and you want to spin shit your own fucking negative way to say I said something that I didn't say, go fuck yourself. I never said it, and I would not do it. I'm staunchly against copyright abuse on YouTube. I always have been, and I always will be. I was one of the people who was first affected with false copyright takedowns over a decade ago when I was playing games like Splinter Cell and Grand Theft Auto. Why the fuck would I be trying to abuse copyright in 2022? Fuck you. Really, go fuck yourself. Stop making shit up. Okay. Excuse me. Now, to get back on the subject. Some people have said, well, ask me, well, Phil, will you ever do reacts to other This Is How You Don't plays? All right. I don't know. All right. This was definitely the one that I feel had the most meaning. I really feel that way. Like, this is the one that started it all. So absolutely needed to see what it was all about, how it started. And now that I've seen how it started, I kind of understand where it was coming from. And I even apologized publicly yesterday to EvilAJ saying, you know, over the years I may have said stuff like, this is the video that made people swat me and shit. And that's not true. That video, definitely watching it in its entirety and in context, it wouldn't do anything like that. It's the people who don't know better because they're immature idiots who then take it to the next level and the next level to try to get by on YouTube, to try to get notoriety. Oh, if we keep going more extreme with the hate on Phil, we'll get more and more notoriety, and let's just keep going to the extreme, right? And that, sadly, that's what made people in a 2 to 3 year span hate me so much that they did those really nasty, harmful, destructive things to me, okay? That's not EvilAJ's fault. And I did apologize to him yesterday after watching the video. But after watching it, it's like where do you go from here? You know, if I were to react to other This Is How You Don't plays, what would people want to see? And I guess people started to kind of like say, well, currently the person who makes them, I guess, the most frequently and most prominently is the Outsider, whoa, does he change the content? It's not like, oh, I just took your gameplay and I commented over it. He adds in memes, he adds in creative stuff in there that's very funny. It's creative, interesting, funny writing and stuff. So I was like, you know, maybe one day I would consider one of those if people have a one to recommend that they feel like that's the best one, and I could talk to the guy and say, hey, I'd like to actually react to it and see how funny it is, right? Now, again, I don't know how harmful the stuff is, because here's the thing. If he's putting stuff in there that's really harmful to myself and my family members, then I'm not going to fucking respond to it. There should literally never be a mention of my wife in any of those videos. She's not in my gameplay. She's not in my content. And only casually mention her when I'm talking about things we're doing in our day off or whatever. That's it. Why should she ever be brought up in those videos? So if there's anything about that's completely off limits. I'm not doing that. That's fucked up. You see? So I guess we'd have to see, you know, and one of the ones that I guess used to be very, very notable, I guess was made by someone called Sebastopol Queen. And they used to make like Bloodborne and Dark Souls ones that people said were really good. So maybe something like that. But here's the thing. I feel like anytime that I address this kind of shit, all that's happening is that you're kind of opening up the Pandora's box, right? At least in this case, reacting to the very first one, it was meaningful because we got to go back 10 years ago. We got to see what was happening from a frame of reference of what was going on a decade ago. We got to understand why people maybe turned against me when I was at the height of my popularity and started to dislike the content that I was putting out on the internet. That video highlighted it to the point where I didn't like the content I was putting out on the internet. I publicly admit it. I couldn't stomach it after being halfway through the video. I was like, I couldn't watch the rest of this even if I tried. Okay? So I get it. However, to keep going on with these, I feel like would just entertain more negative shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if people make these today. I can't stop it. I'm not going to try to stop it. But at the same time, I don't want to give it attention and highlighting either. I want to focus on my own positive stuff. And I feel like I don't want to redirect in a negative way, which a lot of my fans and viewers who like my stuff may think that that's what I'm doing if I'm talking about this negative stuff all the time. So let me put it this way. I would consider it, but I'm definitely not committing to it. And I'm not going to say, hey, yeah, we're definitely doing it, okay? And definitely, if we were ever to react to another one like that again, it would be in the future. It would not be anytime soon. By the way, we're reaching, if you guys aren't aware, right around the corner. Guess what's coming around the corner? The holidays. We've got Halloween specials. We got Christmas special. We got all this stuff coming up that I always do near the end of the year. So we're not going to need to be looking for, oh, I need a marathon idea. I need this or that. We're going to have shit to do. It's not going to be like that where we're like scratching our heads. Oh, what do we do? What do we do this month? It's going to be like, oh, okay, we got more than enough to do. In fact, I would go as far to say that this October may have the most Halloween focused content I've ever done. All right? Because there's going to be new game releases that are horror themed. I'm likely going to do my usual Halloween marathon event that's going to have some horror themed stuff. And this year, I've decided, because I was talking with him about it, that I'm likely going to do a react special to Rob Gavigan, who does, macabre, scary stuff on his channel. And that way we can get some react content in the mix as well for variety's sake. He said he was going to work on a countdown of like the best stuff, like the creepiest, most macabre stuff for Halloween. So I'm going to hit him up in the next month or two about that and see, what he's up to and see if he has recommendations. And we could do that kind of a special too. So October's going to be like jam-packed. By the way, October has insane amounts of new releases too. So October's going to be crazy busy, like insane over-the-top busy with what we're doing here on the channel, okay? So we're not going to be worried about this kind of shit. If anything, we may need to reconvene, in a few months to next year and say, okay, now things have slowed down again with the craziness of new releases and all this holiday stuff. Now, what do we want to do? Do we want to go back to reacting to something dramatic or something like that again? Okay?